The legacy of Khan. The air hung still and cool in the small village square, the kind of quiet that precedes a sunrise. You, along with 20 other young cadets, stood at attention, the dew still clinging to the hem of your uniforms. Before you, on a makeshift stage of stacked crates, stood General Khan. His uniform, a tapestry woven with the colors of countless campaigns, rustled softly as he moved. Even in stillness, there was a kinetic energy about him, a silent echo of battles fought and won. The rising sun painted the eastern sky with streaks of rose and gold, illuminating the medals pinned to his chest, each a miniature monument to a moment of singular courage. He wasn't speaking yet. He was simply there, a mountain of a man against the dawn, his presence demanding and yet somehow comforting. You shift your weight slightly, the polished leather of your boots scuffing the rough ground. You've heard whispers about General Khan, tales passed down through generations of soldiers, a legend in his own time. He was a man who had seen the worst, they said, but never lost his humanity, never lost his belief in the honor of the uniform, the sanctity of the oath. He finally speaks, his voice a low rumble that commands attention. Cadets, he begins, his gaze sweeping over each of you. You stand here today, at the cusp of your journey, a journey that will test you, break you, and, if you're strong enough, forge you into the soldiers you are meant to be. He pauses, letting his words settle like dust motes in the morning air. You've spent weeks learning tactics, strategy, the science of war. But war, my boys, is more than facts and figures. It is a dance with fate, a brutal ballet of courage and sacrifice. He steps forward, placing a heavy hand on the wooden crate in front of him. I want you to understand what it means to be a soldier. Not just the training and the responsibilities, but the spirit, the heart, the reason we do what we do. If you were to ask him a question right now, what would it be? A. General, what was the most difficult battle you ever fought? B. General, what is the true meaning of bravery? C. General, why did you choose to be a soldier? Choose A, B, or C, and then continue reading. If you chose A, Khan nods slowly, his eyes drifting to the horizon as if replaying the scene. The most difficult battle. There have been many, young soldier. But I suppose the one that tests me even now, even in sleep, happened in the mountains. He leans closer, his voice dropping to a near whisper. We were outnumbered, surrounded by a force that seemed to be everywhere at once. The snow was thick, the wind cut like a knife. Our supplies were low, morale was even lower. We were faced with a choice: fight to our deaths, or surrender to a fate we would not control. He pauses, his hand clenching into a fist. We chose to fight. Every step back involved us trading a life of hours for two of theirs. The battle raged for days, each moment filled with the deafening roar of gunfire and the desperate cries of our fellows. More than once I thought that was my last sunrise. But, he continues, the steel returning to his voice, it was not simply the enemy we fought that became our greatest challenge. The cold, the hunger, our own fear, they were equal adversaries. That battle taught me that courage is not the absence of fear, it is the ability to continue even when fear grips you tight. It doesn't matter how many battles a person has seen. Each challenge is a reminder of the fragility of the human body, a constant test of your dedication. He takes a deep breath, the distant sound of a rooster crowing breaking their silence. You want to know details? The number of men lost, the tactics we changed on the fly. I could tell you that, but these are just facts and figures. What matters is what we took away from it, those lessons that stayed with us even as the others came and went. Now, tell me, what have you learned? He directs the question at you, his piercing gaze leaving no room to hide. What will your response be? D. I learned that the human spirit is stronger than any weapon. E. I learned that meticulous planning can overcome even the greatest odds. F. I learned that sometimes retreat is the best strategy. Choose D, E, or F and continue reading. If you chose D. Khan nods slowly, a hint of a smile playing on the corners of his lips. Indeed, young soldier. The human spirit is an engine that cannot be extinguished by mere physical opposition. It is that which separates us from the animals that stalk the night. Never forget this. He continues, his gaze sweeping over the assembly. Battles are not won by bullets alone, or advanced weapons of war. They are won through the strength of the bonds between men. By the belief that you're fighting for something that is greater than yourself. It is the brotherhood, forged in the fires of adversity, that allows us to stand when we should fall, to fight when we should flee. This spirit, this unbreakable will, is not something you learn from a book or a drill manual. It is something you cultivate through every hardship, every trial, every shared moment of fear and triumph. You must nurture the bonds you form here, with each other, and never forget the power of unity. For a single soldier may fall, but an army united will always prevail. He pauses, giving the statement time to settle in. The sun has risen higher now, bathing the square in golden light. He looks at each one of you again, his eyes full of expectation. Do you all understand what you will face, what it is that you represent? The silence that follows is a testament to the power of his words, a clear indication of the awe he instills. The story ends here. Your choices have led you to a profound understanding of General Khan's lessons about courage, resilience, and the power of the human spirit. If you chose B, Khan's gaze becomes more intense, as if the weight of the question is palpable. Bravery. Young soldier, he says, his voice resonating with the conviction of a man who has stared into the abyss, is not the absence of fear. It's not being a fool who throws himself into danger without a thought. True bravery is facing that fear, acknowledging its presence, and still choosing to act. It's finding that strength within you to move forward, even when every instinct tells you to run. He pauses, his eyes searching yours. It is easy to be brave when you have nothing to lose. It is easy to be brave when the odds are in your favor. But the true test of a soldier's bravery comes in those moments when all is lost, when hope seems a distant memory. In those moments, you must find the courage within you, that inner fire that burns bright even when surrounded by darkness. This requires discipline, a focus of mind and body to push through where lesser men would fall. He moves his gaze to the assembled cadets, his posture straighter now. It's about doing the right thing, even when there's no one to see. It's about choosing duty over personal safety. Not for a medal or a commendation, but for the honor of it. He takes a step closer to the edge of the makeshift stage, his voice dropping to a near whisper. It is about sacrifice, about being willing to lay down your life for something bigger than yourself. It is about protecting the weak, defending the innocent, upholding the values that we as a nation hold so dear. He makes eye contact with you again, the weight of his gaze immense. But bravery is not something that you are born with, my young soldier. It's a muscle that you must work and strain. It's a skill you must hone, day after day. Khan's questions linger in the air. Now, what do you think? What does bravery mean to you after his words? G. Bravery is the dedication to an ideal and the adherence to principles. H. Bravery is the suppression of fear for the sake of the greater good. I. Bravery is a reckless abandon that disregards personal risk. Choose G, H, or I and then continue reading. If you chose G. Khan nods, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. Well put, young soldier. Bravery is indeed tied to the ideals that we uphold and the principles that guide us. It is a commitment to something greater than ourselves. Something that gives us the strength to overcome our fears and face any challenge. He then turns to the rest of the cadets, his voice gaining in strength. Remember that bravery is not just about the roar of battle. It is present in the quiet moments as well. It is in the soldier who tends to his wounded comrade even when the battle rages on. It is in the resolve of a soldier refusing to let his brothers down. It is in the act of facing your own fears and demons in order to be a better soldier, a better person. He pauses, letting the weight of his words settle amongst you. The sun is climbing higher now, washing the square in a warm golden light. Khan, standing tall and proud, looks at each of you again, his eyes reflecting his profound understanding of bravery. His next question is meant for you all. And do you believe you can find that bravery within yourselves? The silence is broken only by the distant chirp of birds, each of you contemplating his words. The story ends here, allowing you to ponder the complexities of bravery and how it shapes the actions of a true soldier. If you chose C, Khan's expression softens, his gaze turning inward as if recalling a distant memory. Why I became a soldier, he begins, his voice taking on a tone of quiet reflection. It was not for glory or power, though others might seek such things. As a boy, I lost much. My family, my friends, all taken by the cruelty of the world. It left me with an emptiness, a gaping hole where hope and peace used to reside. He pauses, his gaze sweeping over the faces of the young cadets. I looked around at the world, and saw injustice, and I felt a burning need to protect those who could not protect themselves. It was as if something deep in my soul called me to duty, to serve something beyond myself. He leans forward slightly, his voice rising in intensity. I chose to be a soldier because I believe in the good that exists in the heart of humanity. I believe in the power of justice and the need to fight against injustice wherever it is found. I chose to be a soldier because I refuse to stand silently while darkness consumes those who are weak and vulnerable. He takes a deep breath, pushing back the obvious pain he feels when he recalls his difficult past. I wanted to give meaning to my loss, to create a ripple effect of positive change, so that no one has to suffer the same way that I did. I believe that we are all accountable, that we must take a stand against those who would seek to harm others, and that we must defend our beliefs and our rights. He looks at each of you, his gaze intense and challenging. Each of us must decide what we stand for, what drives us, and what meaning we give to our lives. We will all be tested, either by combat or by time. So I ask you now, what is it that you stand for, young cadets? Why do you seek to join the ranks of soldiers? What is your answer? J. I want to serve my country and protect its people. K. I want to bring honor to my family and make them proud. L. I want to be a warrior and test my limits. Choose J, K, or L and then continue reading. If you chose J. Khan nods slowly, a look of approval flickering in his eyes. Service is a noble calling, young soldier. To dedicate yourself to the protection of your people is a testament to your character. He turns his gaze to the other cadets, his voice gaining strength. But true service is not just about following orders or doing what is expected. It is about understanding the principles that guide us, the values that we have sworn to uphold. It is about protecting their rights and freedoms, even when it is difficult, even when it is dangerous. He pauses, allowing his words to sink in. The sun is now high in the sky, showering the square in its warmth. You must never forget that you are not just soldiers, you are the guardians of the people, their shield against injustice and oppression. You must always act with honor and integrity, and you must be a beacon of hope in times of darkness. Do you understand the kind of sacrifice this asks of you? The silence that follows is a testament to the weight of his words, each of you reflecting on the solemn duty that awaits you. The story ends here, leaving you to consider the profound responsibility of service and the moral compass that must guide every soldier.